We continue the story of Noah, Bloodshed, Enosh, number 4. Today's topic would be Enosh, the priest of mercy, and the father of idolatry. So we talked about Enosh last time. We continue. We are dealing, to remind you, or anyone who watched that video, that we are dealing with the climax or the apex of Noahide belief. If there anything that Noahide is expected to know about and to in detail, is the story of Seven Commandments, and especially about Noah, and in the Noah story, especially about bloodshed, and the new Rainbow Covenant. And in the Rainbow Covenant, he introduces a new commandment, number 7. So that's what we are talking here. What distinguishes Noah from Adam is Adam got the 6th commandment, Noah got number 7, which is a prohibition to eat blood and to eat limb torn from living animals. And we already said that number 7 is actually not it's a new commandment, but it came as a support to number 3, to bloodshed. It didn't come out of the blue moon. Noah got the number 7 to support his stance against cruelty and against bloodshed. So that's why it's forbidden to eat blood and a limb torn from a living animal. If you don't know the story, you have no idea what number 7 is. So this the apex of the story is this moment of the exit from the ark after the flood. And we already talked about how Noah was frustrated. He did not want to procreate. And we saw him last time at Mount Moriah with the children, family. And he and his son apart, his wife and the wife of the children apart. They don't procreate. They still decided not to procreate. And we already seen him building an altar on Mount Moriah where the first bloodshed took place. Cain killed Abel. And he offered there a burnt offering, which was rejected. The burnt offering was a silent offering. We don't know what was in his heart, but we can only guess. He poured out his heart to Hashem and asked him, is it possible to prevent another flood? Otherwise, he will not procreate. And the answer was negative. The smoke stayed on the altar, we said, and it did not ascend to heaven, as it did happen, as it had happened in the past to Cain. Cain's smoke from his altar also remained hovering on the mount, and it did not go up. So we saw Noah sitting there by the altar, frustrated, deflated, humiliated, despaired. He doesn't know what to do. If this is true, it is rejected, then he would not procreate. He would not abide by Elohim law. Well, that's a new law. Until now, he had been walking with Elohim all day long. He's righteous, as described. But now he's a new Noah. He's adamant. He stands on his own foot. And he said, no, I'm not going to procreate until I get an answer. So we don't know what is on his heart, because it's a silent prayer. It's a burnt offering, and the Torah is silent about it. But we can guess what is on the heart, because finally Hashem appeared to him, answering his question, and entering a covenant, the rainbow covenant, with the new commandment. So going back from what Hashem is going to answer him, we can reconstruct quite accurately what was on Noah's mind. Because this is how we understand this is what Hashem was addressing when Hashem finally talked to him. So what was on his mind? He's sitting there, remember, wrapped with smoke, thinking about the past. What went wrong, and what could be done to prevent another harm? What he can ask from Hashem again to satisfy his own plea, and to convince him to procreate. What exactly should he offer now to ask Hashem? So again, I reconstruct what is on his mind from what Hashem is answering him. So certainly he was thinking about the past. You think the whole decay of humankind, of mankind, generation started at Enosh, but Noah knew exactly. We should point out, he should know the story. He knew the story of creation. If we thought about the past, he could go as back as chapter 1. He knew the story of Genesis, which is very important here. He knew the Sabbath. He knew the Shekhinah. There is no person on earth ever before or after who knew the Shekhinah so closely than Noah. You should realize it. The Talmud says that on a verse, these are the stories of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. So the word Noah appeared twice side by side. Noah means rest in Hebrew. So he rested twice, Noah. And the Talmud says it's a sign, the Zohar actually said, that's a sign that Noah knew 2 Sabbath. The Sabbath of chapter 1, the creation. He knew the eternal Sabbath, where we are going. And he knew our current Shabbat. We know that our Sabbath, is only a step towards the eternal Sabbath. And he knew the Sabbath firsthand. He knew the Shekhinah firsthand when he was in the ark. There was no angel of death there. And YHVH, the Shekhinah, actually dwelled and reigned in the ark, while Elohim executed the flood outside. So who else knew Shekhinah so closely as Noah? So he knew the history of chapter 1. He knew chapter 1 by heart. And he remembered that how Adam was created. And he knew the story of idolatry and so on. And now he got thinking about what the decay of mankind. He knew that the first 3 generations after Adam and Eve were pious, all pious people. Suddenly, mankind split into 2 camps, and that we already talked about it, and that started the decay. One camp headed by Enosh, Noah, his own mentor. Talk about last time, he adopted him, taught him. So Enosh believed in a merciful attribute. It was then that they called in the name of Hashem, Yudevachke. On Enosh it says it was then that they began calling in the name of Hashem. Calling in the name of Hashem is not praying to Hashem, as people say. No, they called they called everything in the name of Hashem. Enosh believed that Hashem is everywhere. Remember, Eve left a message. Eve gave birth to a first son, Cain. She said, I've purchased a man with Hashem, with YHVH. She wanted mankind to be connected to Hashem. So Enosh took it seriously. He saw Hashem everywhere, which means he saw mercy and compassion everywhere. And he preached about it. Whereas the opposite side camp, we said a man can split into two camps. The opposite camp, headed by Cain children, believed in the other attribute, in the Elohim, in judgment. Just the opposite. And for them, justice was more important than mercy. Now, so if you ask Enosh, why was the universe being born or created? You know what Enosh would say? The universe was created because God wanted to shower so much love on us, compassion on us. That's why we're here for, to get a shower of love, because he believed in it. If you ask Cain children why was the universe created, they would say, oh, Elohim created the universe to stand a trial, judgment. Two complete different approach. And each one developed its own philosophy to the extreme. We talk about Enosh fiery speeches, passionate ecstasy, and so on. And we need to talk about Elohim, Bnei Elohim, the children of Elohim, Cain children, in their culture. We talk about later on. But for Noah understood, again, I'm going back to Noah. Each camp actually was guilty of idolatry. Why is it? And here is the opportunity to go to the Rambam and once for all understand idolatry, and once for all understand why the Rambam called Enosh the father of idolatry in the world. So this is an opportunity to discuss it. So what was wrong in splitting the attribute, and why did it happen, and why is it called idolatry? So let me put this slide here. And I'll try to unload here. So if we go to chapter 1, we said, Noach knew about it. So going back to understand what was wrong in splitting the attribute, why it's considered idolatry, and why is Enosh considered the father of all idolatry. Because as long as you remember the story of Genesis, in short, Elohim created the universe 6 days alone as a judge, as a tyrant, under his control. There was no idolatry. It could be idolatry. Nobody could reject it or oppose Elohim rule. There's no such thing. But before created Adam, he said he stepped down from his supreme justice throne, and he became a king who consulted. He discussed, he consulted, he invited the merciful attribute, and he said to her, Elohim said, let us make Adam in our form and our. We discussed it so many times. And by talking in plural, Elohim opened the door for idolatry because he's speaking plural. And who are the, it doesn't say to whom he was speaking. Elohim said, let us. Who is us? Us is can anyone in a chapter. So we already said that he talked to, invited the attribute of mercy and said, let us, me and you, make Adam. And he then turned back to the 6th day and he said, let us make Adam. He talked to the first day, make Adam, the second day, make Adam. Each day contributed a layer in Adam. And also he talked to the wisdom by which he created the universe. The point is, to our discussion, that Adam was born layer by layer, but at the same time, because Elohim consulted each layer and talked to her in plural, it rendered it a powerful magic power in our eyes. So each of those consultations become a potential idol. Item in day 1, item in day 2, item in day 3. Each one of them can become and had become a potential idol of nature. Cattle, beast, sun and moon, fish, we talk about it. And the foremost of them, number 1, on top is here. He consulted the merciful one and made Adam. So the rule apply only, the rule of idolatry apply even to that line. Each attribute, because he consulted, talked to her in plural, then the idolaters can think that, wow, each one of them attribute can be alone, important alone, can split the attribute. So among all the possible idols, idolatry in the world, the upper one, the higher one, I say, that even pious people can be fallen a prey to it, is to err and follow either mercy alone or follow Elohim alone. So there is idolatry of the fool, of the worshiping sun and the moon and all that. But the highest form of idolatry, that we're talking here about Enosh, the grandson of Adam and Eve, pious people, when they fell into the trap of worshiping, splitting them, and preferring one attribute over the other. And for Noah, it was not a surprise, because he knew that sooner or later mankind will always fall into that trap, and we are born into that trap. You see, idolatry is not like any other. We talk about it. It's not like another commandment. Do not kill or do not. Idolatry is something coupled or into our own being. We are born into it. Because Elohim said, when he made us, this is how he made us. He made us by those layers. And by consulting them, they became potential idols. So we are made into the challenge of following idolatry. Now, why did Elohim do it? So, of course, if Elohim is a judge, if the kind children will tell you right away, Elohim is a judge, and he created for judgment, and he created Adam to stand a trial, and that's a trial of Adam. And the fact that he added mercy later on does not change the fact that the Elohim is the main factor here, and Elohim created Adam to stand a trial. That what kind children would say, that's the purpose of Adam making Adam. So for Noah, then it was not a surprise that mankind actually fell into that trap. Now, that's I'm trying to reconstruct Noah's argument when he's sitting there on the altar, thinking about what to do, what can be done. So first we came to the Noah, we can say, came to the conclusion. It's really apparent in what Hashem is talking to me later on. He's coming to the conclusion that humankind is born to stand into that trial. It's inevitable. His own generation fell into that trap, and there is no way you can stop it in the future. It may take 1,000 years, it may take 5,000 years, but humankind will split again into that sort of idolatry. Half of us will worship mercy and over Elohim law, and the other one will do the opposite. So what is wrong in this kind of idolatry? So what? So people can err in idolatry. So what? The point is, Noah knew that. Once you err with idolatry, there is a downfall. Another predicted thing. So predicted thing number one is humankind is going to split again. Is it inevitable? Can you avoid it? No. Since we are born into by the two attributes, and we can be attracted to this attribute or that attribute. So the split will happen sooner or later, unless we are taught to combine them. Now, what was wrong if you follow one attribute over the other? So what is wrong? Enoch saw it in his own eye. If you follow mercy and forget about the Elohim law, there is no check. You can actually end up with not punishing any sinner. If Elohim is not important and punishment is not important, only pardon and mercy, if you go to the extreme, without any checking of Elohim, you can come to the conclusion, you sway into mercy and compassion, you will release all the prisoners out. With mercy and loving, and God will forgive you. You can go to the extreme. And that's exactly what he saw. that people were not fearing of Elohim anymore. And they can start committing heinous crimes. So you need Elohim to check people from going all the way to mercy. You can do the other one. The other side is also wrong. If you allow yourself to follow Elohim harsh laws to the extreme, then you can, with piety, self-piety, you can execute people for the smallest sin in the name of God. You can behead them, you can stone them. There's no mercy. So if there is not, you need a check of mercy to control people from going all the way to the Elohim. So in other words, you need the two attributes to check each other. And if you allow yourself to err and follow one attribute or the other, humanity will decay. And that's what happened. Because Noah saw how mankind fell from the two camps into a predicted way. So prediction number one, it will happen. Mankind cannot evade that split. Number two, once it happened, mankind will slide down immediately. Each camp, it will fall down the road, slippery road, into, from number one, idolatry, into number two, adultery. And it's predicted that from number two, it will go down to number three, bloodshed, and from number four, theft, and so on, justice. It's predicted. We are born in that fashion. Why? Because it's come from Eden. God gave those laws to Adam in Eden. So they are the path, the predicted path of following along this attribute is inherited in us. Can it be prevented? No. How can you prevent it? If people are not fearing of God, they will surely commit adultery. Just look around. And if they commit adultery, how much rage and anger, sometimes killing, will follow, and injustice. The literature is full of that. The movies are full of that. If you pay attention to good movie, you will see always a trace of that predicted path. I have the habit to, I tell my wife always, a good movie, look, the author unknowingly actually follow that line. It's inherent in our psyche. It's unpredictable. It's unavoidable. So Noah sitting there and said, gosh, we are doomed. It's inevitable we are split, gonna split again, and we are falling into the trap of those following violating the commandment one by one. So what should I do to stop it? Now, number three happened. Here I'm going back to what the Rambam said. What happened to Noah disciples from idolatry? So the primary idolatry was the splitting of the attribute. This really takes only people who really are pious and are really understand and they are attached to this attribute or that attribute. So great people can follow that. But the disciples made many errors. For instance, and I'm following the Rambam and others. When Enosh, it said they call him in his days it was then that they began. Idolatry began. Started the whole chain of deterioration of idolatry itself. It's not just a splitting attribute. Idolatry itself starts to deteriorate, to go from one step down to the next. How? And also we said began in Hebrew is also profane. So they profane the name of God, Hashem. Why? Because by committing idolatry, their name, so to speak. What happened? And I go here step by step to show how, according to the Rambam, Enosh became the father of all idolatry. Because his disciples, first of all, saw him calling Hashem in every leaf, any tree. He called in the name of Hashem everything. Hashem is everywhere. Mercy is everywhere. It's around us. So sometimes you could imagine him calling Hashem in the tree, in the leaves. He was sincere. He believed that Hashem is really inside everything, which could be true philosophically. But as to disciples, it looked differently. It looked as if he's worshiping the moon and the star and the tree and the stone. Turn out that from Enosh's error, that he exhibited this belief in Hashem in such a drastic way, it caused other people to deteriorate and to worship item of nature. We already said that each item of nature, day 1, day 2, day 3, is a potential idol. Indeed, this is according to the Rambam, this is what happened in Noah's generation. They slid down from this supreme, beautiful, supreme theological splitting the attribute to simple idolatry of worshiping the stone and the moon and the sun, worshiping item nature. So that's how he became known. Enosh is known as the father of idolatry. And humanity today, by the way, is still called after him, not after Noah, as if we're still carrying Enosh's error. We already said that indeed this also happened after the flood, that humanity fell down to the trap. They worship holy cow of the 6th day, and beast of the 6th day, dragon of the 6th day. And then they went deeper into nature and worship the fish of the 5th day, and the crocodile, and the bird like the Egyptian. You see the god face of fish, crocodile. And then deeper in day 4, they worship the sun and the moon of day 4. And then the vegetation, the trees of day 3, and the ocean of day 2, Poseidon, the water. So everything, what is predicted in chapter 1, really happened in Enosh's time and was repeated after the flood in humanity, in history, step by step, in predictable way. So Noah was right. In that case, why should he procreate? Tell me, God, if my children are bound to err again and to repeat the whole story, so why should I procreate? And he knew that humanity is going to the eternal Sabbath. So how can we proceed if you're going to stumble again and again and again and again for the same error. And God is going to wipe us out again and again, so we'll never get to the eternal Sabbath. So why should he procreate? So here is sitting there, and thinking about what to ask Hashem. Now we discuss Enosh, Enosh teaching, and the Torah, for some good reason, the Torah actually spent more time, much more time, to discuss the other side, the Cain family. On Enosh, it's just one line. And tradition said, he began to call Hashem, that's all. But on the other camp, that worship Elohim in self-piety, the Torah spent much time, unusual, long section, discussing Cain and the descendant in detail. Why is that? I'll tell you why, because it's Nama. Nama comes, our mother Nama. It's your mother and my mother. It's the mother of all mankind. It's a new Eve. She comes from Cain tribe, and Noah came from Enosh tribe. And there was a ban. There was such an animosity, such a hatred, such bloodshed, such war, such animosity. The ban the Zohar said the ban mixed marriages. They threatened Noah when he was about to marry Nama. They threatened him, your children will be monsters that will destroy the universe. Don't dare to marry her. Enosh told him. And people from her family said to her the same thing. Your children will be monsters. Because there were stories of mixed marriages, ended up as monsters. So there was a total ban. And humanity really split into two, not only war, but even two marriages. So the Torah now spent, and we follow the Torah, and discuss a little bit, by the time we have, what happened to Cain and to his descendant. We know that Cain was not punished right away. He was sent to exile, and he was sent to exile. Yeah, and to live in no man's land. He developed a protrusion, or a sign on his head. In Hebrew, the sign it can be interpreted as a hole or a ray of light. Both interpretations are good. And he lived naked in the wood, followed by a ferocious dog. The ray of light scared anyone to get close to him, because the prophecy was that he will finally be avenged. 7th generation. Hashem is telling, after 7th generation, you will be avenged, which means there is no way a killer of his brother can go ahead unpunished. Now, his children, that's interesting. In children, as if to atone to a father's sin, adopted this philosophy of taking seriously Elohim law. They blame mercy for the killing, for the first killing. Cain, our father, was so swept by looking for mercy, as Eve told him, you're going to connect mankind to mercy. And because of that, he was afflicted by jealousy. And because of that, he killed. So we're going to go the other way. And we will forget about mercy, and we will emphasize Elohim law to show that we are atoned for his. That's the only way we can stop killing. That's what they say in piety. And that caused them to adopt a special culture. The Torah says here, count them. Among them, really talented people. They live outskirts of the town, as if to say they live. Tradition says they lived around the place where Cain, around the wood where Cain lived, as if to protect him. And they developed, some of them, musicians, architect, shepherd. They were very talented and working people. And they were, Zohar said, they were walk around armed to the teeth, very careful to punish anyone, a sinner, and to protect their honor. Seven generations passed, make it short, and the time to avenge Cain has came. The prophecy said after seven generations, he would be avenged. He would be killed for the crime he did. So to protect him, they actually tightened the ring around him of protection. And Lemech, one of the chieftains, called Lemech, full Lemech, is considered to be strong man with strong muscular hand who could smash the ox head. He's just with a two hand. He was such a strong, but accident prone, half blinded, but fool. Lemech is still in Yiddish language a nickname for a fool. Don't be Lemech, they say. So a fool, an accident prone, and he was very arrogant too, as fool people are. And he said, whoever killed Cain, now I will avenge him not 7 times, but 77-fold. If Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, Lemech 77. Here it is. To show the special culture, they became ruthless. If you walk around punishing people for the smallest sin, you become ruthless, no mercy. And the Torah gives you an example of such an important example of such a behavior. For instance, they had, for piety, they had the habit to have 2 wives. One wife for pleasure, and one wife to have children. How can you, because of course you don't want to mix the two with piety. So how can you make one wife only for pleasure, dedicated only for that purpose? You sterilize her. How you sterilize her? Rashi said they gave her a drink, special poison, at wedding night. It was terrible poison. In the morning, either she twisted on the ground with pain, stomach pain, either she died or became sterile. So that's the habit of the merciless, pious, worshiper of Elohim. They saw nothing wrong with it. And here comes the tzila. So this Lemech, full Lemech, had two wives. One of them is Ada, which means ornament. She was dedicated to have children. She had 2 beautiful children. One of them is a shepherd, musicians, wonderful wife with good family. But Lamech also needed a chieftain. He needed a woman to just have sexual relationship. So he took Zillah. It was wrong because he made a wrong step because this Zillah was a very short person. The Zohar described her as she grew up in a very low social domain level, and she had to fight for her life. She had to fight for survival. She became a magic dancer, and she was very short. She was beautiful, magic dancers, and nobody could fool her. Now she's married chieftain Lamech because of his wealth and status, but she is designated to have this poison. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody can tell you how. But in the wedding, in the wedding night, in the morning, they found Lamech twisted on the ground, twisted with pain and vomiting. But Zillah was impregnated. Okay? Now I leave it to your free imagination what happened. But this is Zillah. Now she gave birth to Tubal-Cain. Tubal-Cain is a character. Talk about him, and a few years later, she was impregnated again and gave birth to Nama. Probably 2 twin Nama, and they were such identical twins that both of them were called Nama. They were trained to be magic dancer like her. Let's first talk about Tubal-Cain, because he is the one who was going to kill Cain. Remember, the prophecy said that Cain will avenge, but a true avenge would be that since Cain had killed his own brother, now one of his own family will kill him. So this Tubal-Cain, the son of Zillah, the Torah described him as a forger of swords and metal. The genius discovered a strong metal alloy that made such strong weapons that could break any shield, and then that made the clan extremely powerful military force. Nobody could stand them. So they became wealthy, and Tubal-Cain gangs dedicated. Tubal-Cain gangs roamed the street. He was a very wicked man. Head of gangs, Tubal-Cain gangs, is a metaphor in rabbinical literature of gangs that roam the street under the sun, no fear. Police cannot go. They do whatever they want because they have the weapons. Tubal-Cain. Tubal means spices. Tubal-Cain, he put spice on Cain out. Cain choked his brother only with the hand. Came Tubal-Cain and perfected it. They killed thousands of people by sword. Made them very powerful. This is Tubal. This is brother of Nama. Few words about Nama. Many stories about her. Beautiful stories. I don't want to spend too much on that. The main thing that they perform like 2 twins, and people were amazed. What went around that they saw beautiful girl, beautiful demon in that part of the world, and a minute later they saw her in the other part of the world. So this demon could fly. The legend where the demon Nama could fly in the air to be in 2 places at the same time. Of course, they were twins. And they performed magic dancing like that. One of them was extremely corrupt, sexually corrupt. She instigated, she taught people how to cohabit sexually, even with animals. Not only with she divided all the laws under the sun. Corrupt. If the Torah said that the corruption, the earth was corrupt, it's all because of Nama, demon Nama. She still appeared in the Zohar says she still appeared in our dreams. You can imagine. And the other Nama, as often happened in twins, she was the opposite. She was righteous. On the surface, they look the same. But character, they were completely opposed to each other. Nobody knows exactly what happened, how Noah fell in love with this Nama. They, of course, the righteous one. And they became, and despite the prohibition, they married each other. And by this thing, she came with the tradition of Elohim. He came with the tradition of YHVH. You can say that in their marriage, they combined, they implemented oneness. They taught each other, the other came way, and they checked. So the oneness is implemented by Noah and Nam. Okay, so now, Noah, going back to Noah now, sitting by the altar, because that's the point here. So he's thinking about all that. So what can be done? We know, so humanity is bound to repeat the story. And what can be done? Can anything be done? And then suddenly, and Noah, something happened to Noah here. Listen to that. This is not the same Noah as it was before the flood. We said this is a Noah that is mature. He is not the childish Noah. Hashem tell him this, he has no, whatever I tell him, I'll do. This is a Noah with free will. This is a Noah that one can sign a treaty. You don't sign a treaty with a child, a covenant with a child. So Noah stand now before Hashem, adamantly on his two legs, and he said, God, I know, I know that I understand we are doomed. If we could continue this way, the flood will certainly come back. But I'm telling you, God, now, I am not going to procreate. I'm standing on my free will. You gave me free will, and I'm standing on it. And I want unless you answer me two demands. One demand, promise me, God, that humanity can be changed. That this path, predicted path that we talk about, the inevitable path to going to bloodshed, starting with idolatry and end up with adultery and bloodshed, and this path can be changed. That it's not necessarily that humanity can mature too. Can humanity be mature? Can humanity escape that predicted path? I'm not going to procreate until you promise me that humanity can mature and can overcome this natural course that you planted in us. I want a change in humanity. Number two, he says to God, and I dare to ask you, God, I'm not going to procreate until you change your way. Until you become, and you promise me that next time when my children will certainly might fall a prey to this predictable course, that you will be more patient. That the flood, if the flood is coming, let it not come so quickly. I want to see reduced judgment and more mercy. I'm asking you. That's I'm standing here and that's a deal. I'm offering a deal. A deal with God? Who can make a deal with God? Of course. People who don't understand Noah, don't understand the story, they say, oh, how can he dare? The point, this is the main point of the story. That this is mankind make a treaty, covenant with God. A treaty. I will procreate under a new covenant. My part is I will bring children to the world. I will teach them. And your part, God, is to promise me that in maybe not now, but in history, mankind will evolve and change and be less bloodthirsty and will not necessarily fall into that predictable path, can overcome it. And until you promise me that you change your own ways. Otherwise, I will not procreate. Okay. So here we are. And so next, of course, now, as soon as he finishes, Hashem passes, he has a revelation. And this new revelation of Noah is a base of the Noah Rainbow Covenant and the base of the number 7 commandment of Noah. On that, we'll speak maybe next week, God willing.